Okay, so here is our big general formula for the loans or investments. The principal goes here, like how much you borrowed or how much you invested. The annual rate, the interest rate, goes there. That tells you how many times it's compounded, like monthly, you'd put 12, or if it's quarterly, you'd put a 4 here. And payment or deposit goes here. Let me show you one. Here is my loan of $100,000. Write this one down, please. $100,000 loan, and used to been minus 1, just like always. And remember how I always used to say 1 plus or 1 minus something? In this, they're always plus. That part, at least, is simpler. Next, you're going to say the rate. I paid 7%, 0.07. Notice how I made it kind of small, so I can put it over however many times it's going to compound. You know, when almost all the payments out there nowadays are either once a year or once a month. And once a month is much more common. So it's almost always divided by 12. But every now and then they'll say quarterly, and then instead you divide by 4. I do one thing quarterly, and that's my taxes. I have to pay quarterly taxes. So 4 times a year I got to write a check to the government. All right, a lot of people just have it taken out monthly out of their check. And the last thing is the payment. If I'm going to pay off my loan, I got to subtract. And I think I was making payments of about $800 on my loan. All right, so stop and just think for a second. If I do U sub 1, a lot of people think, oh, that means after 1 year. What would it really mean? After 1 month. Because we're doing monthly here, U sub 1 would mean after 1 month. How much of a loan do I have? I had a $100,000. It's probably going to go up or down. If I didn't make enough of a payment, then my loan amount will go up. There are some loans that do that. You can make these little teeny tiny payments, and then the amount of the loan that you owe just goes up. And a lot of people got trapped in those because they weren't paying their house off, basically. Their house amount that was going up, up, up. And then all of a sudden house values went down, and then those people were really in trouble. All right, so if you wanted to make a situation like this, like real world, they might say, when are you going to have the house paid off? And then you'd put, don't do this right now, but then you'd put it into a calculator, and you would just keep looking down the table until eventually the loan amount is down to what? 0. All right, so I want to do one with you right now. This time we're going to put it in a calculator and on the screen. So first of all, on your screen, write this down. You can get out the calculator while I'm talking. The loan's 20 grand. U sub n equals U sub n minus 1 times 1 point, and actually I should say 1 plus. The rate's going to be, typically you pay more. We're going to say 0.09, that's 9%. And then I'm going to write it this way, because this is the way you put it in the calculator. Divide by 12, parentheses. Notice that it's not the whole thing, it's just this part that's getting divided by 12. These blue parentheses are optional. You do not have to have them because the calculator will know it's supposed to divide before it's supposed to add. So the blue ones are optional. And the last thing is you're going to make payments on this puppy of $500 a month. So you're going to go minus 500. All right. Put that into your calculator. And then figure out for me, after 1 year, that is not U sub 1, what would that be? Nope, U sub 2 would be after 2 months. U sub 12, after 1 year, U sub 12, how much do you still owe on this car? Again, we started with U sub 0. Need to borrow a calculator? Come on. I never will be angry with you for borrowing a calculator, but I will if you just sit there. No problem. Calculator? So come on up, hurry up. Anybody else need a calculator? All right. So, Mr. J in the front row, or Mr. W really, what'd you get for U sub 12? 600 and what?
22.
Thank you. I think that's right. Raise your hand if you think he's right. Yeah, it's a lot of people. Okay, good. So 15,622. That's how much you still owe the bank. Now what I want you to do is to arrow down a whole bunch of times. I think it's in the 40s somewhere, months, that you'll be before you pay the thing off. So I want you to, yep. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, the last few months on the table are like U sub 47. In U sub 47, how much was your loan down to? 265? 365, thank you. Then, in U sub 48, something weird happened. The first time it turned negative, right? Negative what? So what does that mean? What that means is they owe you $132. Does that happen in the real world? Yes. They can't just take your last payment even though you don't owe them all of that. So you've paid how many payments? 48. 48 payments of how much? 500 bucks. Would you take a calculator for a second and go 48 times 500? Just quit out of that, do a second quit, 48 times 500. What is that? 20, how many? 24,000 even? So wait a minute, I thought we borrowed 20,000. How come it's 24,000? Interest. That's why the bank lends you the money, because you're not just going to pay them back 20, you pay them back 24. Okay, so they made some money. That's what businesses are supposed to do. They're supposed to try to make some money. So they wouldn't just lend you the money for free. All right, so they made 4,000 bucks minus, there's one little thing. They still owe you how much? So if you just wrote this, you'd be wrong. 48 times the 500, but then you've got to factor that in. Minus 132 bucks. It may not seem like much in the big picture, but hey, you'd want your 132 bucks back, wouldn't you? You can't just let the bank say, oh, it's close enough, I'll keep that. It's a lot of money. Okay, I've had people even argue for like 20 cents, 10 cents. I saw it last night. And it wasn't a big deal. They weren't arguing, but they were like demanding their 10 cents off at, where was it? Caribou. Because if you answer the trivia question of the day right, you get 10 cents off your, anyway. Okay, so back to this. How much did the bank make in interest? Well, it comes down to the 23,868. And of that, the interest part was the 3,868. Okay? All right, that is a typical problem for today. And there's a lot of deposit ones too. I want to run through one like that with you. Okay, so back onto your calculator. Let's say a person has $500,000 right now. That may seem like an obscene amount of money to have invested, but a lot of people have that because they're saving for retirement. Okay? So let's say we have U sub 0 be 500,000. Let's say that they're expecting to get about 6% return in the stock market over the long run. U sub n equals U sub n minus 1, 1 plus 0.06. And is that monthly? No. That is yearly. So notice I'm going to say divided by 1, but do I actually have to write divided by 1? No, because divided by 1 doesn't do anything. Okay? So it could be here. It's optional, like those parentheses last time. Okay, you don't really have to have divided by 1. But that means once a year. And then every year, they're going to add to that. They had 500,000. It's going to grow at 6%, and they're going to add 20 grand every year to their savings. If I asked what U sub 1 is that after 1 month? No, in this case, it's after 1 year. Okay? So, let's not do 1 year. Let's do, let's see, 20 years. U sub 20. Two, 3, 4, 0, 0, 0, 0. I think you probably rounded, right? And that's okay. Is that exact?
It says 2.34 each.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, cool. So that one was an investment one. What was the difference? There's not much difference, except that a lot of times the investment ones are only done once a year. And there's a plus here because you're not making the amount go down, you're to want to make the amount go up. All right. Any questions? All right. So, here's the next part. Over the weekend, you've already been starting to think about what college you might be interested in, what job you might be interested in doing someday. I want you to firm up those, final, like not even the college as much as the job, but just kind of figure out what you're going to investigate. We're not going to actually do it till next week, okay? But just be thinking about that. And your actual homework is just 2 worksheets. If you go on Schoology, I'll show you what they look like. Going under here, there's 2 of them. This is one of them. It's homework number 2, and then that one, notice here, is to be really easy to miss this. Only do 2 through 6. Okay, so you're only doing part of this worksheet. And on the other worksheet that we have, which is number 1, obviously, if I can just get that computer to go there. Come on. Okay, number 1. On that one it says only do 1, 2, 4, and 5. Okay, so they're parts of 2 different worksheets that are assigned over the weekend. All right, you do have a long weekend. This is conferences weekend. I'm going to be seeing a lot of your parents. Hope to be able to say good things to them. Maybe one of those parents could bring me a cord when they come to conferences. All right. Anyway,